Hello crafty friends, it's Alicia here with a project for tailored expressions. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to create a cute, quick, and colorful congrats card using products from the new Doodle Birds card making kit release. The new card making kit is full of birdie-full products and has some great add-ons. From the kit, I'll be using the Doodle Birds rubber stamp set with coordinating dies, the Insider's Doodle Birds, and Doodle Bird Digs rubber stamp set. And I'll be using the coordinating dies, which are available for purchase outside of the kit. For cardstock, I'll be using Sugar Cube and Cookie Monster, and for inks, I'll be using Oreo and Cookie Monster. I will also be doing some alcohol marker coloring, so I brought in a scrap of Express It blending cardstock. For ink blending, I brought in my blue blending brush, the Clouds designer stencil strips, and the arched masking stencils. I'll be using a Foil Magic Shim and TE's Fun Foil in Silver Stars and Sparkle for a little added shine. For easy stamping, I brought in the exclusive Teal Misty and Just Press tool. I'll be coloring my images in today with an assortment of OLO markers. I have here Taylor's Favorite Rainbow and a couple browns from the Portrait Alcohol Marker set. And to hold everything together, I'll be using a variety of adhesives. Let's get crafty! I'm going to get started by doing the foiling, and from the Insider's cards, I chose the one that reads, "Congrats, that's something to chirp about." I cut a section of the foil that would fit over the sentiment, and then I got that added onto the front of the card and placed on top of the Foil Magic Shim and in the carrier folder for my mini mink, which has been heating up over in the corner for about 5 minutes. Before I peel off the foil, I do like to let the cardstock cool to the touch. Once it has, I'm going to reveal that and just look at all of that sparkle. Instead of using this as an insider, I will be actually using it on the front of the card and building a little scene around it. For this, I chose the smallest cloud edger from the designer stencil strips and the largest arched mask. To hold the sentiment piece in place, I'm using some Post-it removable label tape, and the great thing about these masks is they have etched guidelines that helps you get your piece of cardstock centered perfectly. So I took a minute and got those lined up with the grid, and then to hold my stencil to my grid placemat, I brought in a couple more pieces of the tape. Now I'm going to bring in my blending brush and my Cookie Monster ink and start to create those clouds. I did go ahead and hold my stencil down each time with a couple pieces of that removable tape, but if you wanted to hold it just by your hand, you could definitely do that. I just didn't want to take the chance that this might get bumped and then I mess up my clouds. When I was ink blending, I kind of switched up the placement of the clouds, moved it left, moved it right, flipped it over, and then when I did the blending, I tried to stay right along the edge of the clouds to get the darkest area there. Then I would blend out to the rest of the kind of open white area above it, just using the residual ink. I filled up that entire arched area, and at the bottom, to fill that little white space on the left, I used the ink that was left on my blending brush and just lightly added some color. And now for the big reveal. I love how you have those beautiful clouds and that sentiment still sparkles. I did gently wipe this piece down with a paper towel just to make sure I wiped away any ink that might be sitting on top of the foil. Now it's time to get the focal point pieces ready, and for this I will be using Oreo ink with the little bird that looks like it's singing and the branch from the Doodle Bird Dig stamp set. I will be stamping onto Express It blending cardstock, which is alcohol marker friendly. Once I got the branch and the bird set up on my piece of cardstock, I picked it up with the door of my Misty and got it inked up and stamped. Because I want a nice crisp black image, I did go ahead and ink it up and stamp it twice. Now it's time to use those OLO markers and get these pieces colored up. For each color I am using 2 different shades, and I do make sure to uncap the markers while I'm using it. Then I go in with the darker shade along one edge. For instance, here on the branch, I try to do it at the bottom. And then I go in with the lighter shade and just fill in the rest of the open area. When it comes to the leaves, once again, I'll use a light and a dark green. And I go in with the darker green right where the little line is in the middle of the leaf, and if there are any areas that are overlapping that need a little extra shading. Once a dark color is in place, I then go in with the lighter color and just color out to the rest of the open area. For the bird, I quickly color in the beak with the darkest yellow marker. And then I'm going to color its body. And for this, I want to give it kind of a 3D effect or make the bird look like it's rounded. So what I do is I bring the darkest colors on the sides of the bird, and then I color into the center with the lighter shade. I did this for the head and for the stripes on the body. And then for the wing, I put the dark red where I thought the shade would be, and then colored in the rest with the lighter one. Once the images were colored, I brought in the coordinating dies and took those off screen to die cut them. I also added some foam sticky strips to the back to give a little dimension to the card. Before I can put the card together, I did want to add some of the music notes from the stamp set. I'm going to be stamping this with the Oreo ink, and I brought in all of the pieces for the card front to get an idea of where I wanted everything to go so I could get the music notes placed. Now originally I was going to put a few around the front of the card, and the first one I thought would be by the bird, but then when I tested it out, which I always keep a piece of clear acetate near my MISTI, I didn't really like the placement of it. So I did play around with that a little bit more. Originally I was going to do 3 sets of the music notes, but I ended up in the end just deciding in the upper right of the word chirp. Once I did test that one last time, I then removed that acetate and got that stamped onto my card front. Off camera, I created a top fold Cookie Monster card base and decorated a piece of sugar cube cardstock for the inside. Now that everything's ready, I can start putting my card together. So I add adhesive to the back of the inner card and get that placed in the center. Now before I put my card front on, I do want to make sure that my bird and branch are in place so I know that neither one will hang over the edge of the card itself. They do hang over a little bit of the white card front, but I think that just adds some extra kind of motion to the card. Once both pieces were in place, I brought in some liquid glue and added it to the back of the bird's feet where it overlapped the branch. Then I got this piece added to the card front, trying to get it as nice and centered as possible. And here are some close-up looks at the finished card. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today's video. If you enjoyed the process, a thumbs up is appreciated. And if you're not already a subscriber, we do hope you'll click on the button below so you're the first to know about our latest videos. To find out more about the products I used today, you can check out the links in the description box below or visit the Tailored Expressions online store at tailoredexpressions.com.